Yes, there it is. That music. Time once again for another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling. Tonight's episode apparently doesn't have a title. But it's not the title, it's the body of A Moment with Bob that is important. Hey, Mike. I've been collecting movies and television programs for almost 40 years, from VHS cassettes to DVDs to Blu-rays. I've amassed a huge collection over the years. On the top shelf of my bookcase, next to a 60-inch television, is a boxed set of 29 DVDs containing all 5 seasons and all 156 episodes of The Twilight Zone. I don't watch them often, certainly not often enough to justify what I paid for them, but I bought them just the same. Why? Because in the 50s and early 60s, it seemed entertainment was made by and for people who were on fairly strong antidepressants, especially television programming. Nothing was too high or too low, just solidly in the calm middle ground of sameness. The comedies weren't funny, any drama could be resolved in under an hour, and ultimately, Father knows best. But starting October 2nd, 1959, on Friday nights at 10 p.m., on your local CBS affiliate was The Twilight Zone, a weekly journey to a small oasis in the vast television wasteland where things are not as they seem, or things are exactly what they appear to be. In the best episodes, there was little comfort no matter how it turned out. This seemed like pretty heady stuff for a black and white half-hour television show, doesn't it? But sandwiched between the commercials and constrained by network censors, also known as the Office of Standards and Practices, were ideas that still managed to retain a glimmer of their original power, that something was terribly amiss in white, middle-class America. And no amount of steady consumerism, no amount of money, no well-chosen steps along a good career path could completely obscure the persistent fear that something had gone wrong. CBS was never happy with the series because it didn't turn into the breakaway ratings hit they wanted. After 5 seasons, The Twilight Zone was canceled, and the last episode was broadcast on June 19, 1964. For the last 54 years, the series has been in syndication and can probably be found somewhere on one of your cable television channels today. Though the series was revived in 1958 and again in 2002, the new series were tepid versions of the original. To be honest, The Twilight Zone is not as good as my memories of it are. At least half the episodes weren't that good, but compared to everything else on TV at the time, they were great. Rod Serling wrote nearly 2/3 of the 156 episodes, so he has to take the blame for a lot of the duds. But with a cadre of writers like Charles Beaumont, Ray Bradbury, Richard Matheson, and Reginald Rose, Rod Serling created not just a series of fanciful plots and characters, but an unsettling weekly trip into sideways. To slip between what's here and there and glimpse the possibility that things are not as they seem, or things are exactly what they appear to be. The best episodes were like, as Harry Nilsson said, "Come here, I'm going to make you feel all clammy inside." Although the show was canceled in '64 and Rod Serling died in 1975, the ideas didn't die. They weren't canceled. For decades, we've all lived in the Twilight Zone. I can prove it. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And then ask yourself a simple question, a question you might ask someone to test their memory after they've received a serious blow to the head. Who is the President of the United States? Now, open your eyes. That's the signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone. Imagine this. It helps if you imagine this in black and white. It's election night 2008. You're watching television. Barack Obama has just been elected president. You're about to switch over to Fox News to see how they are covering this momentous event, and the power goes out in your house. You look out the window and see that your block is dark. Your phone doesn't work. You turn on your battery-powered radio. Nothing. You turn on your fully charged laptop, but it won't boot up. Your emergency flashlight doesn't even work. You open the front door to see how your neighbors are dealing with the possible citywide blackout, and you hear nothing. In the dark, you walk over to your neighbor's house and call out. Silence. You go up to the front door to knock, and you see the door is ajar. You slowly push it open and call out again. Nothing. You wonder if you should go inside the darkened house to check on your neighbor, but what if the house is empty? What if no one is home? You nervously look at the dark, silent houses up and down the street. What if all the houses are empty? What if everybody is gone? But this is ridiculous. You talked to your neighbor just a few hours ago. He was getting out of his car as you pulled into your driveway. He came over and you talked about watching the election returns. Unlike the neighbors across the street who had a huge McCain-Palin sign proudly placed in the middle of his yard, you both had Obama yard signs. But now, where is everybody? You race back to your home and shut the front door and lock it. You try your phone once more. While you punch in 911, you see a bright light shining under the closed kitchen door. The light builds until you can see the outline around the door, streaming bright white light. You don't notice dropping the phone as the kitchen door opens. There, silhouetted against the light, is a human figure, the features obscured by the brightness. The light abruptly cuts off. The darkness is complete. It seems the only thing you can hear is your own beating heart. You've never been this frightened in your life. You are not alone in the house. There is someone else with you. You can't see a thing, and the intruder is silent in the dark. You hear a sound. A match strikes and lights a candle. You can finally make out who is standing at the threshold of your kitchen. It is you. It's not a person that just looks like you. It is you. You recognize the shirt you bought a couple of weeks ago. He's wearing your shirt. It is you standing in the kitchen doorway, holding a candle. You stumble backward into your living room and fall into a chair. Your doppelganger enters the room, places the candle on the coffee table, and sits in the chair opposite you. You notice he's carrying a briefcase. Your briefcase. He speaks. 8 years from tonight, Donald Trump will be elected President of the United States. The Republicans will control all 3 branches of government. During his first year in office, you will think about Donald Trump at least once every day, sometimes more. You and the people you know will talk about what the Republicans and the Trump administration are doing every single day, because what they will do is horrendous. He opens the briefcase, takes out a bundle of newspaper clippings, and puts them on the table. This isn't everything. These are just some of what the Republicans will do once they get into power. What do you want me to do? You ask. I don't know if there's anything you can do, he says, but you have to try. There isn't any time. He reaches over and blows out the candle. The momentary darkness instantly dissipates as all the lights come back on in the house. The television and the radio turned on blare into life. Your visitor is gone. You go to the front window and look out. The streetlights in the houses on your block are lit again. You see on the coffee table the sheaf of newspaper clippings. You pick it up. On top is a New York Times editorial. 100 Days of Horror. The next clipping is the front page of the Boston Globe from Sunday, April 8th, 2017. The headline, Deportations to Begin. President Trump calls for tripling of ICE force. Riots continue. As the television shows crowds of people celebrating Obama's election, you begin to read. Submitted for your approval, Bob. Another Moment with Bob, brought to you by your friends at Offshore Drilling.